Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm pleased to be able to join my colleague, the member for Wellington Central, in supporting the first reading of the Royal Society of New Zealand Amendment Bill and in supporting its referral to the Education and Science Select Committee of the Parliament, of which I have the honour of chairing and of which the member for Wellington Central is an occasional but very, very positive contributor to. I won't cover the ground that he has covered. I think he gave an excellent outline as to what the purpose of the bill is and its various provisions. But I do want to make a few comments about the Royal Society of New Zealand, because it's a long-established body, established in 1867, known for until 1933 as the New Zealand Institute, and it was established. Excuse me. I hadn't quite started school. But it was at Ruapeo College. Thank you to that member. I'm getting close in my objective tonight, and there'll be a couple more opportunities before we're finished. It was set up as a mechanism to bring together a number of research and science organisations around the country who themselves did not have the resources to publish the papers that were being delivered to them and to keep records of their meetings and their activities and that sort of thing. And then legislation was passed in 1997, the Royal Society of New Zealand Act, which currently legislates for the provision of the Royal Society. Its primary purpose has been to foster in the New Zealand community a culture that supports science and technology, including the promotion of public awareness, knowledge and understanding of science and technology, and the advancement of science and technology education. So the Royal Society is responsible for the distribution of public funding for scientific research and public education, for the publication of a number of journals, holding meetings and seminars, awarding medals like the Rutherford Medal and the Pickering Medal, and science education. And it's on that I'd just like to take a moment and acknowledge the role that the Royal Society plays in this Parliament each year. Nowadays, in conjunction with Science New Zealand, they sponsor a series of lectures known as the Speaker's Science Forum, which as Chair of the Education and Science Select Committee, I get the honour to chair. And this year, I think we've had maybe a dozen lectures on a Tuesday night over the dinner break from some very eminent New Zealand scientists. And for those of you who, like me, do not have a scientific background, it was my misfortune to attend Ruapeo College, to be in the fifth form in 1965, sitting school certificate, when the teaching of science was particularly weak. In actual fact, that year it was a disgrace. But I don't blame Ruapeo College for that. I do blame a particular teacher, whose name is actually well known around this house, but I better not mention that. Great school, Ruapeo College, by the way. But anyway, I have the privilege of hosting this forum, and as one of the members of the Royal Society said to me one evening, after a particularly successful, enjoyable occasion, where else in the world, in any parliament, would you actually get 1/4 of the parliament in one room during their tea break to listen to a lecture about science? And to those members of the House, who have not attended any of those lectures, could I commend them to you? You've missed the last one for this year, that was a week or so ago, but could I commend them to you next year? Because not only do you get to hear an outstanding New Zealand scientist and learn about an aspect of science which is currently going on in New Zealand, or an aspect of technology, you also get to enjoy the fellowship of members of the Royal Society and Science New Zealand and of your own colleagues. For goodness sake, Mr Speaker, I've even been known to share the dinner table after the lecture with members of the Labour Party. And I humbly apologise to my colleagues on this side of the House for that dreadful breach of protocol. But I do need to say that I believe those members actually benefit from that sort of company from time to time. The purpose of this bill is to enable the Royal Society to incorporate the humanities into their work. And I welcome that. I think that's a great step forward. And if the Royal Society can, and I'm sure it will, bring to the humanities what it has brought to science and technology, then that will be a great thing for this country. And particularly for those who have studied the humanities and take a leading role in their fields. It was in November 2008 that the Royal Society resolved that there was a need to expand its activities. November 2008. Something else happened in November 2008, as I recall.
What was that?
What happened in November 2008? Something else very significant for this country. Oh, that's right. The Labour Party got thrown out of office. The Labour Party got thrown out of office. So two great things happened in New Zealand in November 2008. But, Mr Speaker, enough of that. Enough of that. In the spirit of the bipartisanship in which the Education and Science Select Committee operates, I'm sure the committee is going to enjoy holding what I'd assume to be a limited number of hearings on the bill. That committee has had a very heavy workload this year and continues to have a heavy workload and has had to deal with some pretty challenging issues. And so I think members will find dealing with this bill a particular pleasure. And Mr Chairman, I commend the bill to you and to the House.
Moana Maki.